Thank you so much, Paul. This last session is about concluding the whole thoughts that we have been discussing now. Let me start by saying that I'm very, very happy, very proud to be part of your work, Paul. You've been great in trying to put all of us together here. Now, I have heard two things that are very, very important. One is to go beyond GDP. That's very, very important, because what we're talking about here is a concept that goes beyond money, beyond profit, which is what the tourism as an economic industry is all about. Now, but the other thing is about sustainability. As I said before, sustainability is not just about protecting and freezing things as they are. Sustainability is not conflict with growth or progress. The story of mankind is about progress and growth. Who said that the island of Manhattan was more beautiful before New York was built? Or that Venice as an island was nicer before Venice was built? We need to be brave in engaging with progress and growth, but do it in a responsible way, in a sustainable way, one that protects our environment, protects our society, protects everybody. I believe that domestic tourism, for example, is a key to all of this. A country that's not enjoyed, a destination that's not enjoyed by its own people cannot and should not be enjoyed by anybody else from outside. That's what the society is all about. That's what concentrating on our people and society is all about. Because a tourist is not just a blonde, blue-eyed person coming from Mars to us. It's about engaging with our culture, engaging with our people. It's about our people. You're right. I heard that being said so many times today, that the tourism is about the society, not about the visitor. It's about the resident. That's more important than anybody else. I therefore would like to promote the concept of domestic tourism, especially in developing countries, where domestic tourism is not seen as part of tourism yet, because it doesn't bring in hard currency, or because it doesn't bring balance of trade, but it does keep businesses alive, and it does keep jobs alive. More importantly, there's the pride and the confidence and the beauty one's place before we share it with others. That's what I wanted to say to start with. Now let's start our panel. I'm not sure everybody's here, but let me see. Susan Fayad, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Susan, okay. Susan, I think the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all today. And I'd particularly like to thank the event organisers for the opportunity to present the happiness and wellbeing work underway for the Central Victorian Goldfields World Heritage Bid. Before I begin, though, I'd just like to acknowledge the many traditional owners of country, which includes the region I'm talking about today, and pay my respects to all elders past, present and emerging. And I also acknowledge that I'm presenting from the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung today. The Central Victorian Goldfields is located in the state of Victoria in southeastern Australia. The campaign to inscribe the Goldfields on the World Heritage List has been in development for over 30 years. However, it's now on the way to being realised with the support and leadership of the region's 13 local governments. These local governments collectively represent almost 500,000 people and cover an area of over 40,000 square kilometres. World Heritage is a high-profile platform that is bringing diverse partners together to build the capacity of the region to tackle local issues and broaden bid outcomes. And I should mention, conservation goes without saying. The collective vision for the bid is to secure World Heritage listing to share the extraordinary story of the Goldfields with people from across the world. But importantly, to use it to create social, cultural and economic opportunities for every community and person across the region, which is a great aspiration, but the question for us was how. While we know the goldfields are significant, the full potential of the region is relatively untapped, and the region has many existing challenges which also pose challenges for the bid. We know that many parts are among the most socioeconomic disadvantaged areas in Australia. And because of the region's socioeconomic challenges, we also know that capacity for local resilience is impacted. And COVID has just been another example of this. The bushfires and COVID are two examples in Australia. Large areas of the region are experiencing stagnant growth and for some population decline. Experience in other disadvantaged areas shows that World Heritage listing can bring unique opportunities for communities, but this is mostly when it's harnessed for this purpose from the outset. To try and address these issues, we are delivering a sustainable tourism project that includes surveying local communities to identify areas of need and how tourism can contribute to changing this. Planet Happiness is part of the consultant team, and I won't lie, happiness in terms of tourism is a very difficult concept for some to understand. But when we unpacked it, the wellbeing agenda aligned perfectly with our vision for the bid. We brought together the 13 local government partners with Planet Happiness, the Happiness Alliance and the National Trust to deliver a happiness index survey across our region. Launched today, the campaign has followed the Planet Happiness 10-step process. It's been shaped to suit our local environment by the local governments, regional tourism boards and other key stakeholders. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, it uses convenient sampling and digitally based engagement. Here's our campaign video. Through our regional partnership, we're stepping up to shine a light on our region to target investment where it's most needed. And we're also benchmarking so that we know how we can make improvements and measure that along the way. We can't wait to learn something completely new about our communities, and we're really eager to work with everyone to build a more meaningful future. Thank you again for the opportunity to share our experiences with you today, and I wish you all a happy International Day of Happiness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was very, very insightful. Particularly what I take out of that is a great place to visit is a great place for people to live in. I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind, because if you live in a great way, you're happy. If you're happy, you communicate that happiness to your visitors. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Thank you so much, Susan. Paul, please,
Thanks,
Paul, the turn is yours.
Great presentation there. Okay, thank you. Hello again, everyone. I think we've enjoyed, you'll agree, we've enjoyed many excellent presentations, and I'm sure you'll agree a conclusion of many of them is that our planet and our national economies, as well as our global tourism industry, are stressed and vulnerable at this pandemic time. like never before. And it's clear we need to do things differently to save and regenerate our planet and our ecosystems, to breathe new life into our economies, our societies, and of course our tourism industry. And in this search to do things differently, it seems to me that as peoples of all shades and colour, we need to look at our own core values. After all, if we can't look after each other, how can we expect people to look after our planet? Because it is only people that will achieve this, and achieve this by working together. In 1993, when I started out on my PhD on what is ecotourism and is Nepal's Sagarmatha Mount Everest National Park an example of ecotourism, one of the first industry sustainability reports I read was by the Federation of Nature and National Parks of Europe, and it was called Loving Them to Death. So, slide, yeah, here we go, thanks, sorry. That was almost 30 years ago. And while many excellent practices to strengthen responsible tourism have been applied around the world, fundamentally, the industry continues to have structural challenges that must be addressed. And at the destination level, isn't it clear, unsurprisingly, that businesses need to focus on their bottom line, their competition, and their profits? Governments typically focus upon selling their destination and their unique selling points, while visitors focus upon enjoying themselves. And over time, in this mix of priorities, host communities are often overlooked and disenfranchised. Okay, so to recover from the pandemic, we have to reset and start doing things differently. And I say again, we need to look to our values to do this. And GDP and visitor numbers as values and systems of measurement are broken and discredited. So we need to look to Bhutan with its more holistic model of gross national happiness. I've been privileged to visit and support Bhutan with its tourism planning on many occasions. And while there will always be room for contemplation and questioning, I've never met a single Bhutanese person that doesn't value GNH. Indeed, I don't believe Bhutan has received a single visitor that doesn't value GNH. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Visitors to Bhutan love learning about GNH and sharing what they've learned with others when they leave. In short, every single one of us values our happiness and our well-being, and we're always open to explore and contemplate what a better quality life might look like, especially for our children. The cool thing is, as we've been learning and hearing today, happiness and well-being can be measured. We need to recognize and celebrate this fact and share this news with millions, if not billions, of people around the planet who don't know this. And in so doing, we need to point to the growing number of countries around the world that are turning to the happiness science, policy, and practice to advance their development agendas. Okay, so this is the first point. What else do we value? Well, we're all in this webinar today because we value this life-changing tourism industry. Yet while we may be passionate about it, shouldn't we be asking ourselves, how do we convert the skeptics and those that have suffered owing to badly managed tourism? If we truly believe in this industry and value it, if we want to advocate its merits over its weaknesses, we can build our way out of this COVID mess by recognizing the imperative to value and measure tourism's contribution to destination well-being. It really is that simple. And we have at our fingertips the tools and approach for industry stakeholders to engage host communities and say, how is your quality of life? All right, it's like this. This is your personal scorecard comparing your well-being across 11 domains with all other survey takers. And here's your destination scorecard look. Why do you think your well-being scores are high here and low there? So let's work together to spark conversations about tourism, happiness, and destination well-being. Let's work together to use regenerative tourism as an engine of change to improve those destination deficient scores. Let's work together to develop tourism products, policies, and systems that demonstrably strengthen the quality of life of host communities. If our industry can recognize the good sense of this approach at the destination level and adopt tools and resources that are available here and now, we can build back not just better, but fitter and stronger. We can build back in such a way that our industry is seen to be accelerating not just the take-up of the happiness agenda by local governments and countries around the world, but also as a framework that truly engages host communities and measures movement towards the UN SDGs. Thank you very much.
So much, Paul. And thank you for sticking to your time. You're excellent, really. Okay. Now it's Jake's turn. Jake, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Jake.
Thank you for having me. It
Not
is
at all.
1
It's
in
a
the
pleasure.
morning where I'm at in Seattle, USA. So I
Good.
apologize for being a little bit sleepy, but I'm with the Transformational Travel Council, and I've been really inspired by all of these presentations today. And I want to recognize that I have this sense that everyone is searching for bold and brave action. And what I'm going to share with you today is, that is sourced in our ability to feel, our ability to tap into emotions. And that is where happiness lives. Happiness, being a noble, sometimes clumsy pursuit, also can provide such amazing gifts and opportunities to stretch, grow, and learn. I'm going to share a passage that is relevant to what we're discussing today from the Transformational Travel Journal. Willa Cather wrote in the south of France, "One cannot divine nor forecast the conditions that'll make happiness. One only stumbles upon them by chance in a lucky hour at the world's end somewhere, and holds fast to those days as if to fortune and fame." Now, at the Transformational Travel Council, we agree with that. Happiness is something that happens on its own, but we also believe it's something that can be actively pursued, that it is an outcome. Just like any emotion that we may have, it is something that can be a practice. It can be something that can be improved upon. Just like we have practices around yoga and meditation, travel can also be a practice that yields the results that we seek. Much of us in today's travel space, we have turned to travel as a place for entertainment, for entitlement, and expectations. And we've also lost touch with those feelings of being alive, those feelings of being happy. We've often turned to travel, like we do other aspects of our lives, as a form of escape, as a form of avoidance and addiction. And we travel like we do, we numb ourselves. And we really need to be focusing on traveling to heal and grow and stretch into new ways of being and engaging with the world. That whole spectrum of emotions that we feel, sometimes that's happiness, but typically when it is happiness, it's something that we've worked for, that is also come from struggle, from suffering, from overcoming obstacles. Those are the pathways to happiness. And often that involves looking within, as Louise shared with us. It is bringing forth what is often unconscious, and unexamined with us. So that is that process of accessing happiness. An example of that is with a group of friends, group of friends of mine. We put intention into climbing Kilimanjaro together. The mountain meant more to us that day. And when we reached the summit, we were overcome with emotion. We shaked and we shivered as we encountered our own soul and the soul of the world in that moment. And we cried. And I've never been happier. And I think those are the moments that we seek. And those are the moments that organizations, in the travel space, destinations, should really striving to create the conditions for. And at the Transformational Travel Council, we've identified patterns, we've identified and put together this rich and accessible base of knowledge, tools, practices, and resources to really help travelers and organizations, experience designers, and destinations create those conditions for happiness and all of the other emotions that we get from travel. Now, I mentioned that could potentially solve the problems. We need behavior change. We need impact. And I want to remind everybody, but in that space of feeling alive is when we have clarity, when we have flow, and when we open up to new sense of courage and confidence that leads to behavior change. And with behavior change, we start to find more compassion, more stewardship with us. We're better versions of ourselves, and we learn to travel and live more mindfully together. So I encourage, as we welcome in this new dawn in travel, for us to all look within as an industry and create the conditions for change, because it's in those moments of clarity that we become a better version of ourselves, and we open up to the true potential and possibility of travel. And that leads us to a path of individual and collective change. I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Wow, what a moving presentation. Thank you so much, Jake. That was really, really very insightful. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. Okay, we go to Mario now from e-commerce.
We have a video for Mario. Right, here we are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mario Santana. I'm talking to you from Ottawa, Canada. I'm using this very nice landscape. I'm very, very interested to talk to you from Canada and talk to you about my international experience and answer these three main questions that were posed to me. Well, I think that, happiness and well-being is really important because we want to balance, and especially in tourism, we want to balance the experience of the visitor, but also the commitment to satisfy the goals of the community. Without those two elements, I think that we don't have actually true tourism. I have been a tourist, but I have been a heritage professional, and I have worked closely with communities. And many communities see tourism in a positive way. Some others don't see it that way. And I think that actually this new world of happiness and well-being that I have been discovering through the relationship with our colleagues, I think that I have come to the attention of this particular aspect and how we can evaluate, happiness, this index of happiness. That seems like a good point to kind of evaluate that feedback between the stakeholder, the visitor, etc., and the authorities, of course, that are developing the plans for that particular site or landscape, etc. As an ICOMOS Secretary General, I think it's a really important aspect. And I know that Fergus, the president of our Sustainable Tourism Committee, is going to be talking to you. So I think that he can stand better on the role of ICOMOS in that particular word. Now, as a professional engaged with communities, I think that I would like to adopt some of these ideas and implement technology, because I am a heritage recording specialist. I am specialized in recording stuff, recording sites to make decisions. And I think that the discovery of this new area offers a lot. I cannot talk on behalf of our World Heritage alone. I am just a small part of the transformational technologies in serving World Heritage. And I think in this aspect, technologies and the way that we collect data to make decisions, I would say that this is really important in our agenda. And the concept of happiness could also monitor the state of that site, right? And also if the presentation is satisfactory. In our initiative, we try to develop tools that would allow to present multiple narratives of the site to visitors or people that want to understand the values. And I think that the communities that those narratives are presented should be happy. So maybe there are many areas, I think, of collaboration in how to collect data. new technologies like in Internet of Things, understanding the carrying capacity of sites, having surveys, using with a graphic interface of information technologies like geographic systems, etc., could provide a lot of support information for this type of approaches. So I'm really interested to hear what my other colleagues have to say and learn from each other. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you for sharing some time with us. Mario, you represent a very important organization. I know ICOMOS, I've been working very hard with them for long years. And I think that your contribution is absolutely important and very, very vital. Thank you.